might change our minds as we go into picks and bans for game number 1. Callista ban first off from the Longzhu side of things.
Callista, once again, very high win rate overall in Champions, over 60%. One of the most picked pick rate and win rate champions. For those higher pick, Rise as well, banned away. We're expecting a Lee Sin ban. That's been the consistent story. So will we see a Lee Sin ban against Flawless? We've seen a lot of bans towards that player, even though, as we mentioned, his performance not necessarily been tip-top shape.
Right, and in Champions, Kindred is still banned, so we won't be seeing any of that champion.
Jhin enabled though. Didn't see any Jhin in Europe last night, but outside hope that we see in this series.
Jin's an interesting character. I think a lot of people are still kind of figuring out where exactly they want to fit him into their team comps. There's a Corki ban now.
Definitely the sort of champion that you kind of have to really look over twice to see how his attack speed and crit scaling works, given that he has that fixed attack speed. Is an interesting one. How he fits in, say, a 4v0 push or the fast push that we had going on in the early game also remains to be seen, but holding out hope that we see a debut of him in the not too distant future.
Yeah, we'll see. Generally, Korea has waited a little bit longer than the other regions to grab those new picks, but that doesn't mean that we can't have an exception once in a while. We certainly have in the past. Nidalee banned against Chaser, no big surprise there, but Lulu may be the first pick for Longzhu. Will be, in fact.
Locked in. An interesting stat that the Games of Legends creator Benji put forward was that, you know, we think of Lulu as that big flex pick, specifically between top and mid.
Yeah.
Mid win rate's where you would expect. It's about 50%. It's a very common pick. Lulu top only at 23%, and that's across all major regions that he's factored in. So
yeah, that shocked me when I saw that. That is an extremely low win percentage, especially with the kind of history that top Lulu has had. But for whatever reason, it's just not working out these days.
I mean, the meta's shifting again. Lots of different champions in the top lane. Looks like she just can't compete. And you know, even the Rocks Tigers lost with that top lane Lulu against Afrika just last week.
Now, Sol is a Riven main, so it wouldn't be shocking to see him pick that one up. They were thinking about Quinn, thinking about Lissandra here, and looks like they may just grab that Lucian. They will. Lucian Alistair, so grabbing the bot lane first.
He's going for power picks. Nuclear was the one who went, I believe it was 9-0-10 in a loss for SBENU on Lucian, so he's looked very comfortable on the Lucian, and Alistair is the quintessential support champion on patch 6.2. Just to reiterate, still patch 6.2, Sona and Kindred disabled, but Jhin enabled this week.
Yeah, now Secret's main certainly has been Alistar, and it's been the champion he's had his best results on, but of late it's been very, very up and down as far as his in-game decision-making has been with Alistar. He's been missing combos, he's just been kind of caught out, so even Secret looking a little bit shaky on that, on what was a really powerful pick for him in the past.
I mean, if there's a power pick for Longzhu, or at least a recurring pick, it has been the Bard. Longzhu has been the team that's prioritized this champion the most. I'm not convinced with the comps they actually make with Bard. I feel like Bard needs a true tank, and they'll often go for just pure utility champions and a Bard to just for the effect of the ultimate. I think Pure has been on form with those ults in some games, missing them in other games, but it's been their standard pick, and they're keeping with the standard this game.
Well, the standard for Longzhu all season long has been poke comps.
Sure.
Poke comps on top of poke comps. Sometimes poke comps versus poke comps take forever to finish, like their game against the Empire the other day.
Some of those game timers last week while I was over in Australia, watching those VODs, I was like, another 1 hour VOD? Really, Doa? But
you don't need to watch that one, that's okay.
Oh boy.
I don't think that game really carries any value for anyone.
Well, let's get hyped. Flawless locks in the
Lissandra.
Lee Sin. He actually gets an access to Lee Sin for the first time in a long time. Even the crowd is excited about that. 1-0 on the season and been perma-banned against SBENU outside of that.
Yeah, Longzhu deciding to give it to him. Longzhu, of course, with not a lot of engage outside of that Bard ultimate.
Can pivot their comp completely here. They've only locked in the flex pick Lulu, and then of course support and jungle. So where will they round it? As you mentioned, they are known for their poke comps. They've definitely had games that have gone super late. Their late game team fighting and shot calling has kind of been the undoing of Longzhu. I feel like their drafting has often been pretty good. It's just been actually translate that into match wins sometimes kind of fallen away.
Well, speaking of team fighting, I was going to say we haven't seen MF since the nerfs, and Ezreal would make sense. This Fiora, though, for Expression, kind of gives him a little bit of split pushing options along with everything.
And suddenly, Fiora Lulu. This is, of course, the Rocks Tigers' favorite duo. If you get that Lulu at the right point, You get the Fiora to the right front, get those 2 items. Her team fighting with the Lulu speed up, with the wild growth is amazing. So suddenly Longzhu pivot to a team fighting comp with good wave clear coming through from the Lulu.
Yeah.
Waiting to see how SBENU have definitely struggled. They're the sort of team that has been drafting co-comps then team fighting and losing games off it. So will we actually see just team fight versus team fight in this particular game?
I hope so. That'd be great. I mean, I'm glad to see Longzhu switch it up a little bit. They still do have decent poke. I mean, you've got Ezreal, you've got the Lulu, and they've got, good pick potential with the Elise as well. But I really like the addition of Fiora. I mean, I like that we're going to finally maybe see Longzhu try to work on some of those team fight issues they've been having.
So SBENU have traditionally on the red side picked for Sarsen last pick. They have that opportunity here again. And they're going to lock in the Quinn. And this is again a flex pick though. We're not 100% certain. Of course, the only time we've seen SBENU play Quinn, it has been mid lane Quinn. Of course, top lane Quinn, specifically the Rocks Tigers have been favoring that. So we'll have to wait till 20 seconds. But for now, interesting top lane duo. I think it's probably going to be Fiora versus Quinn because Quinn is seen as kind of a pseudo counter matchup, at least in the early game. There definitely is a stage where Fiora will overpower the Quinn like she does every champion in the game, but the early game, pretty punishing for the Fiora, but again, we'll have to wait to see what they go with. Right now, it's the Lissandra.
Yeah, they swapped it back. They've got 3 more seconds, and they're going to swap it again, so it will be a Quinn up on top, and Sarsen will be playing that Lissandra in the mid lane. You'll see the team comps as soon as we go back over to that graphic, but again, I feel like we're saying this every match with Longzhu, that this is an opportunity for them to prove that they deserve to be in the top half of the tournament, that they are kind of cleaning up some of the messy spots they've had with such a roster filled with so much star power, but so little actual power, it seems.
And even on a simple level, this is a chance for Expression, Chaser, and Coco to forge their name as the trio worth selecting. This is one of the packages they have access to. We've been talking about Crash so much in previous series, really debuting impressive. These veterans need to show that they are the starting trio, otherwise they'll be forced out by some of this young talent on the roster.
Seems pretty likely. Of course, Theory is lurking on the bench, looking to take that spot, that ADC spot from Captain Jack. See if he comes in game 2. But first, game number 1, Longzhu versus SBENU Sonicboom. Let's get in the game. All right, well, welcome to Summoner's Rift for a short week of Champion Spring. Longzhu versus SBENU Sonicboom. There will be matches just today and tomorrow because we did have that long break for Lunar New Year here in Korea, as most of Asia has been celebrating that holiday, of course.
Just trying to dissect exactly how the lane assignments as if we have some issues. It's not a bug splat just yet. But
maybe it was for him, we don't know.
That's true.
Soul has reconnected, so maybe we'll be able to get right back in here. He disconnected and then reconnected right away, so we'll see what the issue is going to end up being. What did you do for Sonar Papa Smithy?
I was just coming back from my Australia trip, so I had to recoup for a few days. I was feeling a bit under the weather, but otherwise, visiting friends, getting used to things here.
Me too. Just hanging out.
Just hanging out. That was the name of the game.
Playing a certain game that just came back in beta a little bit.
League of Legends?
A little bit. Yeah. Of course. Mostly just chilling out though. I was really sick last week. I needed some time.
Needed some time. Well, you got some time, and SBENU have had some time to kind of dissect what to do with their lineup. They're going with Soul, and Soul, it's not the Riven top, but Quinn definitely on the carry end of the spectrum. This was actually a legitimate choice for them. Do we send Quinn top, or do we send Lissandra top? Of course, Lissandra's always famously been that lane that Fiora will eventually outscale, but her reliable instant cast CC means that you can gank that Fiora relentlessly and try and get a snowball lead. Instead, they're going for the early game lane counter. But still, going to be an uphill battle, I think, for Soul against Expression, whose Fiora, I think, has actually looked surprisingly good. It's not a champion I'd necessarily automatically associate with Expression, but he's looked good on it.
Yeah, well, Expression has kind of really expanded his repertoire as far as, like, what types of champions he's been able to play this season.
So you mean not Jackson Shyvana, then?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, he has. I mean, he's really done better, sticking closer to the meta, and it's served Longzhu fairly well. But a lot of eyes are on Flawless here too. He's finally got that Lee Sin pick that's been banned against him so much. You know, what's he going to be able to do with it?
Well, his only Lee Sin game was a victory and an MVP level performance. We all remember just how great he looked on this champion, both in solo queue and crucially in that infamous relegation match towards the end of last year. So definitely some outside potential, as Expression finds himself in a lane swap. We should mention lane swap initiated by Longzhu. So Fiora 1v2 down bot, no jungle follow just yet. This is the thing about lane swaps, is you can't get those deep wards down, so sometimes you're surprised when you don't find the lane swap you expected.
Pure coming really deep here.
But late.
Yeah, he's not there in time to stop the red buff. Well, meanwhile, a lot of damage taken by Saucen already. Secret trying to harass Expression and Chaser, but not a whole lot that Alistar can do.
But Alice is able to actually reset the Raptor. It's only now just coming back. It did release back, so they're delaying the jungle follow at least.
A little bit.
You could tell from the fact that Fiora showed bottom lane, then saw two people, that Longzhu expected there to be a cold lane swap, didn't find one. Of course, no time for the deep vision that would have been so common in the 2015 season, and this is just the reality of League of Legends with the timers at the moment, is that sometimes you expect things and you just are surprised.
Yeah. Looks like we will have the top laners join their side lanes and push down those tier 1s on both sides.
And we've got strong late wave clear in the mid lane, so that probably means Doa might be in for another long one.
Oh yeah, but it's not surprising. Longzhu does tend to play long games. You know, one interesting thing about this Longzhu team is that they actually do have the 3rd highest gold lead in 15 minutes of you know, all the teams in the league. And when you look at that win rate, it says a lot about these guys. You know, they've got a lot of individual talent. They're able to get ahead early, but they're just not able to close very well, it seems like.
I mean, Longzhu overall are 3-3, so you know, obviously 50% over the season. But as connected to your point, they have the 3rd highest GPM of any team in the league, actually higher than SK Telecom, who do have a better win rate than them. And it just shows you that this team does have some very mechanically talented players. I always look at them as a team that took Jinair's best player, they took Samsung's best player, they took CJ Entis' best player, at least on performance in 2015, and put them in a lineup. So it's no surprise they're taking time to gel, but their mechanics are never in doubt. This team may struggle in late game shot calling, but mechanically in their early game has been very impressive to me.
Yeah, that's right. You know, lately we've been seeing a little bit more success from the Crash and Flame package along with Frozen, and you and I were talking about this a little bit, and it seems to me like just the way Crash plays jungle, you know, really lets the rest of his lanes be kind of the independent mechanical power players that they are, you know, whereas Chaser, I feel like, requires a lot more interaction from his teammates to do what he does as a jungler, you know, and that kind of takes away from the individual playmaking.
I mean, Crash really follows from the Peanut school of thought, where the best use of your jungler is to get in the face of the enemy jungle, contest all their buffs, and basically always have eyes on the enemy jungler. And then, you know, transporting that over to Longzhu, that means that Flame, that means that Expression, that means that Coco get their more isolated 1v1 matchup and can put those mechanics into use. So you're right, so far, that school of thought, that approach from Crash has been just more impressive than what Chaser's been able to put together since their debut game, where I thought Chaser was really on the same wavelength as his team when they beat Jinair the first day of the season.
Yeah, you know, not to mention that Crash's in Italy is just out of control. And are we okay? No dive. Looks like they're just going to trade those turrets again. Top and bottom. Pretty standard stuff from what we've seen this season.
Yeah, 4 turrets down, and then the strong wave clear in the mid means that it's all about pushing that mid lane outer turret. Getting that turret count up to 3 has been the thing that's really dragged games out, because it's going to be that big injection of gold early, then not much.
Whoa, Saucen goes in on that E. I'm really surprised. Gets whimsied immediately by Coco. Coco could force a flash here, but no vision in the river, so he doesn't want to take any chances.
Saucen just picked 6 that went all in despite no vision, despite nobody actually there to relieve pressure.
He didn't ult either.
Yeah, he didn't have the range. He was polymorphed just the second he came in with the claw.
That was a great response.
Back in the lane, but
great response by Coco. Saucen, oh wow, I thought maybe he was going to go in there again. Coco doesn't have a lot of mana. He may have been able to do that. He does, okay, does use his TP, of course, to get down there, so. Slight TP advantage for Longzhu at the moment.
Now we have the extended lanes in top and bot, so looking for some jungle pathing. There's certainly a lot of great gank opportunities for both Lee Sin and Elise when these top laners especially are going to be so far overextended looking for farm in lanes.
Yeah. Yeah, now's the time where you maybe are going to get a little bit worried that Flawless is playing Lee Sin, but he's been pretty quiet so far.
When we have these outer turret trades, it's all about shot calling, because basically if one team finds an advantage on one side of the map, there should be the instant answer on the other side. For example, a team starts a Rift Herald, you should be giving up the Dragon as a trade. Or if you look for a gank top, there should be the opportunity for the other team to do that on the bottom side. So what teams actually get in the next 5-6 minutes before we start the big ARAM fest trying to take out those mid lane turrets really lets you know which team is on the ball with their shot calling in the early game, which is so important, just given the texture of League of Legends at this present point in time.
Yeah. The vision is looking pretty good so far for Longzhu, or for SBENU rather. Getting in there, taking the red, and actually getting a couple nice deep wards down. While Coco gets ulted, takes a lot of damage, flashes away, has that wild growth to keep him nice and healthy. So a gank attempt by SBENU, but countered by a summoner and an ult from Longzhu. Can they save their turret though?
SBENU really wants to punish what Longzhu are doing. You can see they're trying to farm up Tia Ezreal in the top lane and get Fiora freezing in the bottom lane. Theoretically, this should be the opportunity for SBENU to get a dive into mid. They have Alice who of course can turret dive with relative impunity. Even at level 4 is pretty tanky.
That's a good point.
But if SBENU just meander around, they're giving Tia charge time. They're giving free farm to Expression, so they just have to be decisive with their movements. And decisive is certainly not a word we've associated with SBENU in 2016.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Expression finally getting a decent amount of time to build up some farm in bot lane.
I just like this approach from Longzhu because it's putting the impetus on SBENU to make decisions, and when they've done that so far this season, it's kind of been their undoing. So it's a unique kind of heads-up play. We're like, okay, we're against SBENU. This team will pick into siege comps and then not execute those sieges very well. Why not just go for these multi-lane freezes and force something?
Speaking of forcing something, they're going to go in on this secret nuclear and secret behind enemy lines. Here comes Flawless though. Captain Jack a little bit low. That's not going to stop Chaser from having to run away. Nuclear getting some damage in onto Captain Jack, and here comes the TP from Expression. Pierre very low. First blood ends up going to Nuclear. Dodges that repulse. Oh, gets taken down in the end, but a return kill coming in for SBENU, and they're going to leave that fight 1 for 2. So little win early on, getting that first blood and getting more kills. Gold still pretty even though.
But SBENU had access to one less teleport and still won out on the trade. Eventually Soul did answer the teleport top. Expression was out leveling him. Expression was beating him in CS, but Expression reacted, only got a 1-for-1 for it. So all in all, Longzhu used more resources and actually lose out on the trade. Seeing the replay on your screen, it's all about the late teleport. Fiora finally comes in after a lot of the fight's over. Pure gives up the first kill, and then Expression just kind of goes all in Rambo mode, gets basically 50 damage onto the Lucian to kill him, but the trade is certainly not worth it from a Longzhu perspective.
Yeah, it took way too much damage to survive even with that heal from the Grand Challenge. Nuclear off to a good start, and it certainly does help against a split push to get that kill onto Quinn too.
The big worry is that Quinn had an experienced disadvantage, now is level 6 to Expression 6, but you can see on this minimap, Quinn doesn't feel like she has the wards or the map pressure to actually be able to 1v1 this Fiora.
Well,
and again, it's an early lane counter pick against the Fiora. It doesn't get better as the game goes on.
I mean, if you look at Soul's items too, you know, he's really itemized for mobility and not damage, so he just really can't fight anybody right now.
Can't fight the Fiora early. Really does worry you how this game will look at 25 minutes. Will Soul be able to stand up to what Expression can put together?
Let's see. So far the answer has been no. A little bit of a gold lead for SBENU at the moment, but you do have to worry about that late game. Once that Fiora really does power up.
I mean, in every lane, team fighting in the late game is certainly going to be to the advantage of Longzhu. Fiora is a far better team fighter than Quinn, even though Quinn is one of the strongest swim pushers in the game. Looks like the first objective's been started by Longzhu with their map actually.
Yeah, wow. Coco gets jumped on though. Wild growth on himself. Can he get away with Whimsy? We'll see. Flawless tries to go in for the execute, and he gets it. Easy kill. Rift Herald taken by Longzhu, but that's a small consolation prize for losing your mid laner. SBENU's going to follow this right up with a dragon, and I don't know if Longzhu can stop them. It doesn't look that way.
Do obviously have vision, given that The Rift Herald Spirit is given the vision, but as you say, no answer to it. Rift Herald certainly not one of the biggest objectives to take down, so overall another win for SBENU. Small advantages to SBENU in the early skirmishes.
Yeah, that first dragon is really nice too. Getting those stats certainly does help.
Jack been able to farm up unopposed, but you can see actually he's 15 CS behind his lane opponent, just powering up. Doesn't have the Iceborne Gauntlet, doesn't have the Mana Moon completed yet, so certainly not team fight ready. But tipping point, Lulu, Blue Ezreal, and Fiora in the late game. I just feel like Soul needs to be getting things done, and he's kind of been the big loser, whereas the rest of SBENU have been ahead of where they'd expect in the early game. The person that's gone for the counter matchup, that last pick, Quinn, isn't giving them the kind of advantage they were looking for.
Yeah. I think they're going to need some help from Flawless to get Soul a few more kills here.
Does have immense map mobility, even without that teleport, of course, with the ultimate, so may have to make plays on other lanes rather than necessarily the Quinn lane.
And Captain Jack, he's got a little while before he does a decent amount of damage on that Ezreal. As long as you're going to take an opportunity to drop a ward in.
Just have to take stock of what objectives you can pick up. The mid lane is the quintessential stall fest when you have reliable line wave clear like Lissandra and Lulu. So we're just looking around the map with Rift Herald and the Dragon down. It's just really about granting vision, and if the team with the Ezreal and the Fiora is going even in these stages of the game, and it sets you up for that 40-minute stage where there'll just be no answer for SBENU.
Yeah. Well, poor Coco eventually went down to the gank, but he's kept it in farm, so things aren't lost. Uh-oh, Expression on the run, though. Gank coming in, Q lands for Expression. The Grand Challenge popped immediately. Expression flashing away. Quinn comes in, a little bit of damage. Nice dodge from Expression. He'll be able to get out. Saw some thinking about coming from the side, but a little bit too late to that party.
Well, teleports back up, so we could have certainly some 5v5 shenanigans very soon. SBENU need to be contesting buffs like this enemy blue buff. The gank didn't get through. They could have just gone and contested blue, but they give away that objective. So just back to farming, and suits Longzhu to a T.
Yeah, pretty much. I really do wonder how Fury would change this team. Oh, trying to catch Soul. Soul is caught, comes in for the blind. He's still going to go down. Wow, that was about as easy as it gets, doesn't it?
Yep, made it look easy. Red buff slow from Chaser. Didn't even need to hit a skill shot. Expression takes down the kill, so it's another story where Soul is going to fall further and further behind. Ahead in CS, or about equal in CS, but equal's not good enough when you're talking about Fiora as your lane opponent.
I suppose. And they didn't really have wards to see Chaser coming in there either.
Kind of the genius of the draft from Longzhu. Make the lower ranked team, it's desperate for a win, have to make all the actions we saw. Failed gank from Flawless, and then the successful gank from Chaser. So on the team that's on the back foot's the one that's actually getting those aggressive picks, the one that's actually getting ahead in the early game. Looking good for Longzhu.
Yeah, so far. I think they've got a decent edge, but this is going to be one of those games, I think, where things can swing back and forth pretty fast. Maybe a dive. I don't know. Soul at least putting down a ward in the enemy jungle before he goes back to lane.
A lot of information for Longzhu outside of just their blue buff. Very, very defensive Minx. So it's going to be Chaser. It's going to be, Coco on the back foot, just clearing waves in the mid lane.
Yeah, why not? You know, I know it's a Winter Lulu skin, but it's starting to get warmer in Soul. We don't need this skin anymore.
You're right. It was raining last night, but during the day, no gloves required, no scarves required. It was actually quite comfortable.
Yeah, it's not bad. So we're done with Winter Lulu. I think it's time to retire that one this season.
So which Lulu skin do you think is appropriate for the current day?
Dragon Trainer.
Yeah.
That's appropriate for any day, though.
That's true.
Yeah. Not quite to the Beach Party Lulu just yet. Maybe in a few months. We don't have anything for humid, awful monsoon season, though. There's no humid, awful monsoon season Lulu.
Is that when the Janna picks start coming out?
I suppose, yeah. Whether when Janna.
NA's way ahead of that.
Nothing but bad news, though.
Don't believe there's been a Janna pick at all in Champions this season, despite it being obviously one of Adrian's favorites over in the NALCS.
Yeah, no Janna in Korea yet. Even Gorilla not wanting to play that one. Oh, Secret.
He just stole 2 cups of hot chocolate.
He did.
How rude.
There's a lot of calories in hot chocolate, man.
Alistair needs to watch his weight, it's true.
I mean, clearly Alistar is one of those guys that skips leg day, but you gotta be careful, Alistar. You want to stay in shape for a Minotaur.
They're actually going to get some free time with this turret. They have good defensive vision on the enemy jungle, so they can definitely get some order. Don't know if they'll be able to actually take an inner turret, but
I don't think so.
It's good pressure nonetheless for SBENU.
Yeah, they get it down to about half health. Not bad.
Looking for a pick in the enemy jungle. Cassandra especially, she's really powerful in getting these picks. Here we go!
Oh, there we go. Flash on the Chaser, nice. Oh, Wild Growth used to try to keep him alive, but that Elise, oh, gets away with the flash. Captain Jack and Pure coming in too. SBENU needs to be careful. Wild Growth is done. SBENU on the run. Expression coming from the side. He could do some damage coming in on the Flawless. Pops that ultimate, eats a lot of the culling though. Tries to riposte some of it, but in the end, a lot of abilities used, a lot of ults used, and no kills for either side.
Really low initiation on the side of Longzhu. The Cocoon was down, so there's no other way to reforce a fight with both Cocoon and the Bard ultimate Tempered Fate down, so unable to pick up a pick on the outside. Also, Expression didn't get anything for that teleport. We'll get the Dragon, I guess, but no kills for the teleport, so maybe Soul gonna have to be under pressure to actually make something out of that Summoner spell advantage.
Yeah, well, getting that dragon is nice too, you know? I mean, getting those stats, the first dragon, the 5th dragon, those are the important ones these days.
Until 6.3. Looks like the dragon rebalance might mean a slight meta shift. Maybe we'll see the return of some team fighting. The dream.
I hope so.
The dream of team fighting.
That would be pretty awesome.
Someone should definitely tell Jinair.
I can't believe Soul is still under 100 CS right now. Things are really bad for this guy at the moment.
Ping's 100 CS
there we
in
go.
18 minutes. That's
yeah.
certainly low pace for a player that's been in lanes the majority of this game. Okay, there was the extended lane swap, but he's been in lane for a long time. 20 CS behind his opponent in a favored matchup. That's kind of the difference between these two comps. We called them both team fighting comps, and they are to some degree. It's just Fiora's a split pusher and an excellent team fighter, specifically with Lulu to help her out. And Quinn is purely a split pusher. There's a reason why a lot of teams, despite Quinn's strengths, don't play this champion, because if you aren't an excellent split pushing team, you don't have excellent communication, you should not pick Quinn, because there is no backup. There is no team fighting phase with a Quinn.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen other Quins too just be really aggressive too in lane and trying to push their edge, you know, because they know that if you don't get that lead early on, it's really tough to make it work late game. Looks like Expression's going to do a lot of damage to this turret.
Does have the extra attack speed. You can see how fast this cannon's attacking. It's going to get below
a lot of
health.
damage. Wow, that worked. That's putting the Rift Herald to good use.
That was actually really aggressive from Expression. You don't usually see that sort of play in Champions, because you look at the enemy's red side jungle. He had no defensive vision whatsoever, but was still confident enough to extend that push. SBENU trying to answer it in bot. They have enough help on this tower from earlier.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they'll get any more damage on it this time, but I suppose Expression, or rather, yeah, Expression kind of had an idea of where it would work. Oh, wow. All right, Tempered Fate on the Secret. No follow-up, though. Flawless got away to the grubs. Here comes the TP, canceled. Soul does not come down, stays up in top lane.
Really defensive teleport canceled. Poor use of that ability. Soul, again, 0-4 on the season. Riven not in the meta. He's playing another carry champion in Quinn. He certainly hasn't convinced in the first 20 minutes.
Sasson still farming.
Been a recent pivot from SBENU drafting. For their first 3 or 4 series, it was all about red side. We're going to get that counter pick for Sasson, one of those pocket Sasson picks that he has. The creative ones like Quinn Mid that we saw earlier in the season, they pivoted to other things, like, for example, picking for the likes of Soar and Soul in the top lane. But it's games like this that don't really convince you that that's the right way to go either.
Yeah, I don't know. Man, I would always run away from Elise if I saw her coming. Like, somebody who sends exploding spiders at you, that's just terrifying, dude.
Even the outback of Australia did not prepare me for release. Still terrifying.
You don't have the aggressive exploding spiders,
No.
just the regular aggressive spiders?
That's the one type of spider I've managed to dodge in Australia.
Have you ever come into contact with anything really dangerous and poisonous?
Sure. I lived in the outback for a few years.
Like what was the most danger you were ever in from animals?
Funnily enough, it wasn't so much my dangers. I had a little dog. And there is the situation in the outback where your dogs just die to snakes when you're going for a walk in the outback.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's actually quite common. But
Wow.
my corgi survived so far.
That's good. You were ready to fight off all those snakes?
That was going to be my first reaction, but you kind of have to take it on a case-by-case basis in the Australian outback.
When we were thinking of bringing you out here, Papa Smithy, Snake Wrangler was one of the things that really caught our attention on your resume.
Very important part of
God.
our Champions broadcast.
Knows a lot about League and Snake Wrangler. Okay, cool.
Well, it's ARAM time.
I guess so. I mean, trying to push down the mid lane, that's how these games go, guys.
Just the most fun.
And Longzhu, of course, pushing as much as they can. SBENU on the defensive for the moment, anyway.
Nothing to talk about here. It's Lissandra and Lucian against Lulu and Blue Ezreal. So poke, poke, poke.
Yep.
Going to require a flash initiate from Sassen. Even then, those have been so far fairly fruitless. So more time is bought. It's more time for Fiora to finally complete some of those items. Has the Titanic Hydra, and it's going to be the Black Cleaver second, and then it's going to be go time for Longzhu. That's when their team fight comp, 2-item Ezreal, 2-item Fiora. That's when it's online.
Yeah. I feel like we should be seeing a dragon pretty soon here. We may still have broken dragon and Baron timers like we did last week. Yeah, you might not have noticed that, Papa Smithy, but we just have to kind of do it the old-fashioned way for dragons and Barons right now.
There you go.
Yep.
Throwback.
Gotta note that timestamp. But I think the next dragon should be up in a minute or two.
There's a lot of pressure around it, so you're probably right.
It certainly seems that way. You know those guys have the timers.
But it's one of those cases where what investment is actually warranted for a second dragon? Both teams have one, both teams have those 6% stats for the late game, but second at 24 minutes, it's not really crucial.
You'd think whoever took it would lose their mid lane turret, you know, and right now that's going to be more valuable than the second dragon.
Infinitely more valuable.
Yeah, so even if the dragon does come up, unless you happen to get a couple picks and can maybe, you know, hold mid and take dragon, I don't think we're going to see anybody really be too aggressive for it.
One factor worth considering is that Bard is unique and that Longzhu could start this dragon then just ult their mid lane turret so it can't be taken down. Obviously only buys you a couple of seconds, but if you burn through half of that dragon, you can commit as Longzhu and not lose the turret.
Yeah, theoretically. It looks good on paper, Papa Smithy, but I don't know how it looks good. I mean, in actual game. There's the dragon. TP coming in from behind. Soul wants to make a play here with this Quinn coming right onto Coco. Nice catch. That was actually Sassen TPing in, and they made it work. There's the pick. There's the dragon, and they've got the lane push, so it doesn't look like Longzhu can even respond to the mid lane turret. No, Soul just went back up.
What was Coco doing in the
I don't
middle?
know.
He was literally in no man's land for no reason whatsoever. Dies with his flash, teleport, ult up. Just a 4-man pick from both sides. But question marks on the positioning from Coco. That's just a mistake on his own. There was no teamwork there. It was just literally out for a walk, a stroll around Dragon, and then found 4 members and died.
Yeah, that just seemed a little bit lazy.
Watch the replay. Coco's already between Lee Sin and Alessandra. Dies instantly. They pick up the Dragon. It's academic work from SBENU, but real head scratcher from Lulu.
Yeah. He's trying to bring the win rate in line with the other lanes for Lulu right now, I think.
Sub 50%, I believe, if he loses here. So
I meant the Lulu win rate.
That would be Lulu's
okay.
at 51% in mid. So
Ooh, all right.
tipping point almost achieved. Still worth knowing that Soul, 10 CS behind, an early game favored matchup. 2-item Fiora is online. So Longzhu were denied the team fight they were obviously looking for around that last dragon, but it's when Longzhu finally get that 5v5 that their comp really will shine in the next few minutes.
Right.
But let's try and force down that mid lane.
Well, you know, Captain Jack's actually doing a lot of damage now with this Ezreal. He could. Uh-oh. Whoa! Close one. That flawless thinking better of that.
That's so flawless.
He was thinking about going for an insect there, but didn't follow through.
Well, he still makes it happen on the Lee Sin, so
oh yeah,
makes you smile. There he is on your screen, looking very serious. Looking again though.
Wow, gets the flash from Captain Jack that time. Not bad. Chaser coming in, Tempered Fate. They catch the Lee Sin. Where's the follow-up? Is it there? Secret gets caught with that Cocoon. They're going to go in onto him. Meanwhile, Soul coming from the side. Nuclear pushes back Longzhu with that culling a little bit. And it's a stalemate now in the mid lane.
It's actually really smart play from Secret. What he did was he walked in front of the Tempered Fate on Lee Sin just to tank whatever CC came through for the Lee Sin, knowing that he could just pop holes. That was actually a really smart position.
Oh, flash Cocoon onto Sasson. They're going in. Sasson, Grand Challenge issued, gonna ult himself to stay alive. Expression goes in. Captain Jack picks up the kill onto Secret. Longzhu looks like they have the upper hand in this one. Meanwhile, Expression confirms it with a kill onto Flawless. Longzhu may be able to get the mid lane turret here. Sasson still dueling with Chaser, and Chaser needs his teammates there. You're not going to be able to kill that Lysandra by yourself, but here comes Pure and Coco. Sasson's actually doing a great job of delaying the death of this mid lane turret for SBENU.
Sasson's doing his best behind enemy lines, but at the same time, Ezreal is pushing mid. They're going to try and catch Sasson, but here's Lysandra.
Yeah, Whimsy used. They get the flash out of Lysandra. TP comes in. It's a great Lysandra chase, 2016. Sasson, nice dodge in the Cocoon. Looking mechanically good, but I don't think he's going to escape from this one. Coco has to ult himself, and finally, well, the Zhonya's dodges the kill from the two-shot barrage, but Expression's going to get it in the end. Another kill into that Fiora, but even Sasson has to laugh after that one. That was a great delay. That really occupied a lot of Longzhu's time.
And you might say, okay, they got the mid lane turret anyway, but this is patch 6.2. This is a situation where when you break that first outer mid lane turret at 25 minutes, with how long the death timers are, the inner turret is always a very realistic opportunity to pick up two turrets. So that delay probably kept the mid lane inner turret up, so probably a big success from Sasson.
Yeah. Looks like SBENU's going to respond to the mid lane turret, or going to try to anyway. Secret, taking all the damage, has to burn that ultimate. Tempered Fate is going to go through the rest of it, and Secret could be in trouble. Goes back in for the Pulverize. Style points at least, went out in a blaze of glory.
He headbutt Pulv just to dive out of the way of True Shot Barrage. Knew he was going to die anyway. Maybe managed to pass over the kill to someone suboptimal, but this is the push that Longzhu wanted on that previous kill.
Yeah, and they may be able to get this mid lane turret. Flawless trying to flank though, comes in. Wild Growth gonna get the knock up. Coco taken out by Nuclear in the back line zone. Nuclear whimsied a little bit too late. And now Sasson coming in for a bit of revenge. A double kill for Nuclear already. Nice catch by Expression onto Flawless. Pure helping out with that one. Flawless trying to get away. Nice kill again coming in for Soul. Expression on the run, and SBENU really turning this one around. This is a close game. Here comes Soul to help finish the job. Goodbye, Expression. That'll be it. And talk about revenge. 4 for 0 from SBENU.
A really scattered team fight from Longzhu. Fiora wasn't there, came to the fight late. It was a really nice insec initiation from Flawless. This is what this guy can do on Lee Sin. So leaving him available, you get your just desserts if you're Longzhu.
I guess so. It's Baron time for SBENU, and again, with these death timers, there's nothing Longzhu can do.
Yeah, opportunistic True Shot Barrage will be too late. It's down to 2,000 health. It's going to be first Baron of the game. SBENU Sonicboom.
Yeah, so
watch here for the initiation Flawless. This is what this guy can do. Gets an amazing insect initiation onto Coco. Dies instantly in the front line. But Fiora's nowhere to find. Look, Fiora's actually walking up. You can see on this minimap this whole fight. She's got 2 items. This should be an easy team fight win. But Longzhu wasn't looking for a fight. Overextended. Flawless got the initiate. The rest was history.
Yeah, and Expression tried to do a little bit too much in the back line there. That was already a lost team fight when he came in, and kind of just ended up giving SBENU another one.
And see, we talked about how this was when team fighting was online for Longzhu, but it wasn't a team fight, was it? It was a pick into just an extended skirmish. In a skirmish setting, level 16, Quinn can definitely get picks left, right, and center. So if they can recreate that multiple times when the Flawless initiates, there is still a stage where SBENU can win these late game fights.
Third Dragon. Now, to me, this looks a lot more like the SBENU that we saw last year. This looks a lot more like the SBENU that was built around skirmishing and built around having Sasson and Nuclear make plays. And I feel like this is a much more comfortable style for SBENU to play.
And the big struggle for SBENU has been Flawless's inability to play Elise. If he was playing Elise, you can go for these skirmishes, you can go for these picks, but his Nidalee performance has been so much better than his Elise performance. Lee Sin's been banned, so they've kind of been pigeonholed into these siege comps that they haven't been able to pull off. They just haven't been a strong siege team. So when you get Lee Sin, a champion that can make picks, that can force skirmishes, suddenly SBENU look like a competitive team again.
Yeah. I think the bans were very effective. And Nidalee Graves ban against Longzhu really put Chaser into the Elise corner, I suppose you could say. Soul getting a lot of damage done to that mid lane tier 2. And they maybe will just get this. Looks like they will, yeah. Tier 2 turret. Taken by SBENU. They're going to take the turret lead, and they've got a pretty decent 4,000 gold lead already.
Again, the delay, the waiting game for Longzhu. They've made lots of individual mistakes. Twice, Expression's been too aggressive, looking for a pick and giving away a 1-for-1 when he didn't need to. Coco, uncharacteristically, has been caught out multiple times around objectives. It's been almost everyone on Longzhu taking a chance to make a misplay, and SBENU on the whole have been pretty solid.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is a better looking SBENU team today, but Longzhu has certainly given them some opportunities.
Giving windows to even the bottom teams in Champions, specifically a team like SBENU that looked good in the offseason, looked good towards the end of last season. Even EM Fire have taken advantages and run with them this season, so I don't think anyone's a true pushover, even given SBENU's 10th place position.
Oh, well, Secret has to use that ult, so he's not pushed over in the enemy jungle. There's Flawless, so lands a Q onto Pure. Are they going to go into this? No. No, it'd be a little bit of an over pursuit. Soul getting the split push going in the top lane. And yeah, Expression's Fiora just is really stalled out at this point. We'll see what he can do now.
The question is, can Soul stay in lane against Fiora? With that ult, suggesting probably no, but QSS means you can QSS the Grand Challenge, which is a lot of Fiora's dueling damage, so I'm really interested to track the 1v1 off-lane matchup between late-game Fiora and late-game Quinn.
Yeah, you know, normally that looks like a bad one for Soul on that Quinn, but with the way the game has been going, you know, he's got a little bit of an edge. Maybe he's got a chance. Doesn't look like he wants to try it now, though.
I mean, just with that ultimate, you don't have to commit to anything. You can just hang back, wait for the wave to be pushed up, and then go in. Obviously, you just get it straight out. Ghostblade popped, moving at 1,000 move speed or so.
Yeah.
Don't even need Whimsy if you're Quinn.
No trouble at all getting away.
Casual, what is that? Get the move speed here.
Wow, going in. Didn't quite catch Expression with that. I think he just wants to push him off the wave for the moment.
SBENU have been trying to take this outer bot lane turret for the majority of the game. They had it chunked out 15 minutes ago. Looking to force it here, but backed away by Longzhu.
The turret's nearly dead, though.
Quinn working on top. This is good. Outright 5v5, certainly not something SBENU want to operate in, but they're being controlled so far as Sol keeps pushing up this minion wave, but not actually getting turret damage just yet in the top lane.
We've seen enough games where it can turn around this season that I'm not too concerned for Longzhu just yet. They're down, but they're certainly not out.
Picks are just so devastating when death time has hit 40, 50, 60 seconds so early in the game. That's why we see kill counts after about 20 minutes just dry up, because you die. Especially if you're a wave clear champion, if you're Coco and you die, suddenly 2-3 turrets are realistic objectives for SBENU.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the end, people were saying about how much shorter it made the games, but we've seen that the answer is just to play ultra safe and never die.
Well, here's to hoping 6.3 Dragon Changes change that door, because this week is going to be plenty of games that resemble this one.
Oh yeah.
35 minutes and no clear winner inside.
Yep. Oh, Sawson going in. They've got Flawless right there too. Coco caught again. Nice pick from SBENU. Man, this looks like the SBENU we were kind of expecting to come in this season, doesn't it? I mean, what a different team in a good way. And you have to wonder, how much of that is Flawless just getting Lee Sin, and how much of it is these guys maybe coming into the season post-holiday with a little bit of a different attitude.
I mean, it sounds like an insult to call Flawless a Lee Sin one trick, but the difference between Flawless's Lee Sin and his other champions, save maybe Nidalee that he's looked decent at, his Lee Sin is completely outstanding, and his other meta champions certainly leave a lot to be desired. So
so far.
Longzhu on the blue side had 3 opportunities to ban it. You don't have any other respect champions for SBENU apart from maybe meta picks you don't want to deal with. Every other team has taken the bullet and banned the Lee Sin. And Longzhu decided not to, and so far they're paying for it. Almost 100% kill participation, 8 out of 9, 3-1 and 5. And look at this, everyone's got that luxury QSS, so Grand Challenge targets started to go down.
Well, I think we're definitely going to see Lee Sin get banned in game 2. That's for sure.
Don't need much of a scouting report to know to ban Lee Sin against Longzhu. This was against SBENU. This was a ploy by Longzhu. They thought they could contain him, and so far they haven't.
You know what happens though in these games is that there comes a time when the Fiora player gets big enough that you just TP behind them and just kill the team.
I was watching H2K yesterday, Odoamne dying, trading, but at some point you have 4,000 health in your Fiora, and things seem to turn out okay, but will that tipping point come where in 6 minutes and from there on we're going to be talking about the threat of 5th Dragon consistently?
Well, it's got to come soon. Longzhu able to take that mid lane tier 2. Baron, I believe, just came back up. Yep. Saucin split pushing down in bot. And Saucin does have his TP, so Longzhu kind of just giving up this turret.
They weren't able to delay the recall. Lulu can go back, but there's only 1 member returning.
Oh, they actually do save the turret, though. I thought that was going to go down for sure. It was getting very low.
They could have found a way to cancel Coco's back time. Oh boy, here we go.
Yep, it's fighting time. They're going to try to get Coco again. That turret, not a lot of health, but looks like they're just going to scare him away for the moment.
Saucin doesn't have flash, wasn't close enough to get the pick, and Whimsy, of course, makes it lose super fast, so the pick would have meant a certain inhibitor for SBENU, but now they have to back away.
Yep. Oh, close call.
If SBENU plays perfectly, there should be no way for Longzhu to take advantage of their amazing 5v5 comp.
But you just said the sentence, if SBENU plays perfectly. You realize that, right?
Look, it's been the recurring story. Poke comps played decently and then let's fight in the late game and just lose it. They've got the Quinn though, they've got a champion that is very one-dimensional split push and skirmish, so maybe that's enough to get them to stay away from these 50-50 fights they just haven't comped for in this particular game.
We'll see. SBENU hasn't been afraid to skirmish. Longzhu still looking for a way to split push harder.
This itemization from SBENU I think needs to be called out. Triple QSS items, and the only people then you can therefore ult as Fiora. Remember the Grand Challenge, level 3 Grand Challenge is 40% true damage. Who are you going to ult? You're going to ult the Lissandra with 2 different ways of going invulnerable, or the Alistair that, okay, will definitely get chunked out by that true damage, but won't die through his ultimate necessarily. It's not really great target selection for Expression, so maybe this is a stage to where the Fiora might not be the late game terror she's so well known as.
Yeah, it's possible. Here's the real question, though, is that SBENU has been at this point in games before, right? They've gotten these leads, but they've been having a lot of trouble closing. And I think we're kind of starting to see a little bit of a lost look from SBENU right now. They're looking a little bit directionless at the moment, aren't they?
What I want to see from them is to trade the 5th Dragon for something else, because Longzhu has to fight to deny the 5th Dragon. SBENU doesn't have a great 5v5 fight, but they have excellent siege and split push. Yeah. So when the threat of the 5th Dragon comes up, make sure that you're getting something across the map.
Oh, here we go. Longzhu trying to sneak a Baron. There's a ward there, so of course SBENU knows about it right away. Longzhu has to disengage.
Longzhu trying to force a teleport because they have an early vision, didn't have to go for the emergency teleport.
Yep.
Both Saucin and Soul perched around bottom side. They really want to get this inhibitor turret.
Yep.
2 hits and they'll do it.
They'll get it, yeah. There it is. Now the inhibitor in danger. Expression in a little bit of danger too. The rest of Longzhu coming down to help out. Looks like SBENU's just going to pressure the spot lane.
2 back away, but now you have another strategic hole that you have to plug. There's no inhibitor turret there. Both Quinn and Lissandra have teleport. So how will they assign their lanes? Baron threat is going to be immense from SBENU, so will 5th Dragon. So, oh boy.
Yeah.
Actually see the QSS have to come through from Soul after that first slow from Captain Jack.
I kind of feel bad for Quinn's bird, for Valor, because he has to do all the work. You know, he carries Quinn around, she throws him at people, and he has to like poke them or something with his beak and then fly away.
the
It's
one
a hard
hand,
life.
On the one hand, though, it's nice that Valor actually gets to see play on the Rift. Actually gets to strut his stuff as a bird, because previously just never saw that bird ever.
Yeah, well, we saw Nivea.
That's true, but definitely no, definitely no Quinn and Valor.
No. Quinn's just a Nivea poser, right? Just a smaller, less frozen Nivea.
I don't track the lore closely. Could you confirm that, Doa?
No. No, I can't. Well, Nivea is supposed to be some sort of like almost deific figure, I believe. Whereas Quinn's just a bird. Maybe a smart bird. Maybe the kind of bird that can do like simple math problems. You know, you like tap your beak on the thing once for yes, twice for no. But can't make ice walls.
No deity.
Not quite.
Well, it seems like SBENU's solution to their kind of struggles is wait for one of these objectives to spawn, specifically 5th Dragon. There's so many different ways they can approach 5th Dragon that don't include trying to 5v5 fight around it. But there's still, of course, that outside chance they're going to go full SBENU and try and fight around it.
Well, we'll see. Longzhu seems like they kind of want to start something here. SBENU on the run. Jack just doing a little bit of damage on that Ezreal.
Oh.
Dragon's got to be really soon.
Well, SBENU aren't in position around it, so we don't have a timer. So
They could try to trade it for a Baron, though. It's only the 2nd Dragon for Longzhu, so in the grand scheme of things, that Baron right now, even if it would be meaning giving up the 5th Dragon for SBENU, I think if I was SBENU, I'd be fine trading that 2nd Dragon for Longzhu for a Baron in exchange.
And that's my point, is that basically fighting for 5th Dragon 5v5 is the only incorrect decision SBENU can make around this 5th Dragon. They can look to pick up a Baron, they can go back bottom and pick up that inhibitor, they can break the base in the top lane. There's so many options for them that are so much more appetizing that walking into pink water brushes and fighting 5v5 with a Quinto.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Chaser finds Secret in the jungle.
5th Dragon's live.
It is.
And SBENU look like they want to fight.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I don't think it's the greatest idea, especially when they can just go grab that Baron in exchange.
It is SBENU's idea.
Now, if SBENU just baits the Baron, wouldn't that just pull Longzhu away? Wow, they are going to fight. You're right, man. Soul looking for an angle to come in. Tries to go in. This is so awkward. SBENU may be in trouble here. Well, Sawson coming from the side doesn't decide to go in on that E.
He can't commit to it. There's too many people there. Polymorph will interrupt him. SBENU goes somewhere else in the map. Don't want to fight 5v5 here.
Yeah, now they're split up. It's a problem. Secret getting very low. Has to use that ult. Such a disjointed semi-engage from SBENU. They're going for this 5th Dragon now. I guess they're committed. They don't need to be. Thinking of going in. Dragon getting low-tempered. Fate misses. Soul takes a lot of damage. Flashes away. Nice pulverize from Secret. Keeps his carry alive for the moment. Sawson goes in by himself and just dies. Expression. Soul rather not able to help him. They get the first Dragon. They get Sawson. They're going to probably get a Baron off of this too. And what did you just say, Papa Smithy? What was the only wrong move for SBENU to do?
Fighting 5v5 around Dragon, but that's why I said, that's why whenever I preface it, I'm like, this is SBENU, and unfortunately this has been their modus operandum.
Yeah.
So disregard your comp and fight for objectives you don't need to. The thing about 5th Dragon is, the only thing it guarantees is that the enemy team has to fight you around it. And that means you can play around that. Split push, Baron, bait something else. Instead, no. Yeah. They brute force a 5v5 fight. Flawless was tanking it for most of that duration. They lose the Dragon, and on your minimap, in the inset here, looks like they might lose Baron as well.
Just blows my mind. Longzhu going for the Baron right now. And here coming from the side. Let's see if they can steal it. Flawless coming in, doesn't get the steal. Gets out with his life at least, but now Longzhu has the Baron, and it really makes you kind of want to just claw your brain out. I don't know if that's a thing, but like seeing SBENU fight over what would only be a 2nd Dragon for Longzhu, where they could have put the Baron pressure on, they could have made Longzhu come to them. It really doesn't make any sense.
That's the thing. Longzhu has to respond to 5th Dragon. So take a free Baron, take a free inhibitor, and then you're trading it for a 2nd Dragon. There's no downside in those trades, but instead you fight around the one place that you're going to force a fight with Quinn, with a comp that is outscaled, it is outclassed in 5v5 by Longzhu. So that's where, unfortunately, consistently SBENU's game plans have fallen apart, is in late game shot calling. Whoever their late game shot caller is really needs to watch these VODs and understand that they had so many different tricks they could play, and instead they brute forced the one thing they couldn't hope to get.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could say, well, the idea is that if we get 5th Dragon, then that makes Baron that much easier to take, but you just have to take a step back and say, you know, do we even need the 5th Dragon right now? And the answer was no, but I think SBENU learned that the hard way in this game. Again.
Well, if you don't learn it the first 3-4 times, Doa, maybe you're never going to learn it.
SBENU being a little bit tricky here. What's the plan?
Nuclear's spotted out by the lane creep, so they can't go for the sheer backdoor. They're still trying. There's full recalls coming through from Longzhu.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is pressure that you need to respect when you're down an inhibitor like Longzhu is.
Get the recalls. They relieve map pressure. That was actually a good move from SBENU.
Yeah, it worked well.
But they're suddenly on the back foot after 30 minutes minimum of being on the front foot, and one lost team fight against a team fighting comp, and the game's over.
Yeah, it really is at the point where SBENU can't make any more errors if they want to continue to have a chance to win this game, because they're 6,000 gold ahead. It doesn't look like it. Tempered Fate picks Saucin. We'll see if they can get him. Nope, Zonia's right there. Baron buff, though, pushing in on this mid lane.
Quinn Split pushing this whole time, hasn't channeled teleport.
Yeah, Longzhu trying to get damage done. Quinn is doing damage, but it looks like Longzhu's going to take an easy inhibitor. They can just rotate to a different lane if they want to. They can probably go back to save their inhibitor too. They've got that empowered recall, and Soul knows it. He's not even going to stick around.
They had both empowered recall and double teleport available, so there was never going to be an inhibitor trade from the side of SBENU. On the one hand, you might say, okay, grouping with the Quinn might not have necessarily tipped that fight. They probably would have just watched that inhibitor go down, but suddenly now it's Longzhu doing the dictating. And it's hard to see a window back for SBENU. They just don't have the pressure in any lane, and now they only have that threat of 5th Dragon. They need to play around the next 5th Dragon in such a different fashion, because again, if they force another fight, they just lose the game if they get aced around that Dragon.
Man, it's so sad. I mean, I really think in the earlier stages of this game, SBENU looked better than they've looked all season long. I mean, they were skirmishing well. Flawless was making great plays on Lee Sin. They looked like the SBENU that it seems like they should be, you know? But then kind of falling back into those habits that have cost them a lot of games this season. And looks like it might cost them another one despite being still, 6,000 gold ahead.
I mean, we were praising Flawless's Lee Sin 3-1-5 in a 9-kill game 20 minutes ago, when he's still 3-1-5 and they still only have 9 kills. They just haven't been able to push forward after, as you mentioned, an impressive opening salvo from SBENU, and now it just feels like it's the old SBENU. It's the one that's frustrated us so much this season.
Yeah.
With their poor objective shot calling in the late game.
It's okay, man. We get to watch the Rocks Tigers later.
Feels like it might be a while away, though, Doa.
Yeah, maybe. We're already up to almost 50 minutes in this game.
And nothing's happened, really, in a while.
Yeah. Well, we had the dragon fight. Baron, a little bit of action. But, Longzhu, to be fair, hasn't exactly been the greatest team at closing games out either.
No, it's been one of their struggles in the late game as well, as you mentioned. So
one of the longer game times in the league, along with Jinair.
Jinair averaged 43 minutes a game.
That's insane. That's so long.
It's really, really long.
Yeah, I know. I've casted a lot of those games.
Given that first Dragon goes down at what, usually around 10 to 12 minutes? We're talking about basically guaranteed 5th Dragon rush. 5 Dragons a game, if that was a big objective. That just illustrates how long the games Jinair have been playing. On the other side of the coin, Rocks Tigers average 32 minutes a game, which is a 10-minute difference between those two teams.
Yeah. Rocks Tigers still sporting a 1,700 gold lead average at 15 minutes too, so these are guys that just win really hard in the early game and they close out well in the late game for the most part. Yeah, Jack, aggressive. Cocoon from Chaser doesn't connect with anyone. Saucin waiting for a chance to TP in, maybe from behind.
All good thing for Longzhu is they have no initiate, so honestly they're happy to opt into any fights around this 5th Dragon. Here comes a fight though.
All right, TP happening. Longzhu backs off, they get ready for it. Whoa! Saucin comes in with a big engage. Captain Jack flashing away, gets that cleanse immediately. I don't know how he survived that one, but Longzhu trying to kite backwards, do damage, but SBENU may have got the edge here. What a great engage from Saucin, but will it be enough? Expression taken out. I think SBENU's got that 5th dragon, and with death timers, they may actually be able to close this one out.
Saucin got right on top of Captain Jack. It felt like the QSS was late. He took a huge burst of damage. Everything on him just to kind of sustain him to half health was a non-factor in the fight. 2 people go down, and suddenly SBENU might be rewriting this game.
That was such an instant engage from Saucin, and man, did he make that one work. Let's watch that again. TP, and watch how fast he gets in here.
Just look at this huge chunk. There's nothing that Captain Jack can do. The QSS maybe was a second too late, but he's so bursted out that he's honestly a non-factor in the fight. You can see in the back line, Nuclear's free hitting.
Oh, good kick from Flawless, too.
Did it again.
Yeah, he did. And here comes SBENU. They don't have a ton of minions, but they do have the 2 big carries down. And I don't know, there's only about 20 seconds left. I don't think they can close it right here.
15 seconds for Captain Jack. 10 seconds now.
Oh, it's going to be really close. These turrets are going to go down fast. Tempered Fate does not save that turret. No, it saved it for the moment anyway. And they will actually be able to maybe close it out. Saucin getting low, ults himself, and there goes the Nexus. So somehow, some way, SBENU finds that perfect engage. Saucin makes the play of the game, and they win game 1.
I mean, Saucin may have made the play of the game, but Flawless, once again, the disposition to actually get that low-health Captain Jack back into the front line, so he actually died despite receiving QSS and all the shields and wild growth from Lulu. They finally got that pick on the Ezreal. He died first. 5th dragon and the game over. Congratulations, SBENU. They stopped that 8-game losing streak and pick one up over Longzhu.
Yeah, it really is kind of shocking to see, honestly. I mean, Longzhu had a big edge, I think, at that point in the game positionally, but SBENU, I mean, you can never really count out Saucin to find that perfect engage.
Tale of 2 dragon fights. One 6 minutes earlier, looked like it lost them the game. Saucin gets the miracle engage, and they actually pick up the win.
A big part of that, too, is Flawless's Lee Sin. I mean, you just can't say enough about it. There's a reason why every other team's banned it out. Absolutely, Longzhu will ban that Lee Sin in game number 2. You can't let Flawless have that.
But watching the replay on my inset screen, he actually hit the first part of the Q, then got Bard ultimated, and still had the resonating strike available to get that re-engage. There's no way Captain Jack could have known that was coming.
Yeah, I really don't know if SBENU would have been able to win that game without Flawless's Lee Sin. I don't think they would have. That was a great engage from Saucin, but Longzhu was kiting back. It was really Flawless that gave them the kill onto Captain Jack.
2016 meta in full display, 50-minute game.
That's right. Well, when we come back, guys, Longzhu's going to try to tie it up.